Peace. Got the mathematician in here early. Let me share this on my other pages real quick. 793rd. Peace, everyone.
Call from Chris Allah. 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 Call from Chris Allah.
My Twitter real quick.
Call from Chris Allah. Call from Chris Allah. Call from Chris Allah. Call from Chris Allah.
Everyone do the each one teach one. Hit the like button on the way in. Share this on your Twitter, your Facebook, Instagram, in the groups, text messages. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I have no idea why people don't realize that it's time to hang up. I can't really call that one. Let me hit. I don't know what it's gonna take for them to see that. We're doing something right now. But we got SW. You having somebody talking to you about space and time too. You have your own flat earther. You got your own flat earther too. Real hip hop, powerful Allah, divine understanding. West Coast wise you. Real hip hop said where the Muslims at. See, this is when you got to go into some understanding, but this is all extending. Today's class is extending from the question that we got left with last week. If anybody recalls, the question was about, is mystery God a misnomer? Do those two words go together? And so I put a couple of other things in there that we, when we consider what we're saying. You see, a lot of times we say things because it's comfortable, because we're used to saying it, because we hear other people saying it. But how many times have we actually taken the time to analyze that thing for ourselves and really see if it's true right now? Because otherwise we're dealing with religion. You know what I'm saying? Universal 7, Urban Gorilla. What's the deal? Natural Jewel, Mr. H. Peace, Mr. H. Real hip hop. Metal chair for the mystery guys. The God I Be. Justice. All right, so, he's not a flat earther. We're talking about space and time, the infinity of it. I mean, those are some of the, basic questions that, they give us formulas and everything to calculate it. But those are some of the basic things that, the most learned physicists in the world have not answered the questions of what precisely those things are. What gives rise to them. West Coast Wise said divine means supreme good, so divine evil is a misnomer. Shall born intelligent. But see, that's what happens. Is a lot of times we use these type of terms that go together. You know what I'm saying? Divine evil was, see, like, remember when I said that, beware of slang. Beware of using slang. We discussed it already in terms of you diminishing the actual meaning of what the words mean. You see what I'm saying? Meaning that, through slang, right? Bad came to mean good at one time. Powerful love. Through slang, bad came to mean good. I don't know if people still use that type of terminology. L7. But see, whenever we start using these type of words, we start using these type of ideas, and we start following behind these actions, right? Without having shown and proved them for ourselves, then we've crossed over the line into religion. Because see, if you're doing something because people did it 2,000 years ago, bad and bougie, I have heard this. I don't know if both of these terms had a certain meaning, before. Who is this? Peace.
Big, what's up?
What's the deal?
Oh, no, you called me. I was like, I looked at the phone. I had it in my pocket. I was ready.
Nah, this is school.
Oh, yeah. I feel all there.
Seal up. Yo, seal up.
Yeah.
I think this is Jamal on the phone for you. This is Jamal?
Yeah, you called me earlier.
You called Jamal?
What Jamal?
Yeah.
Fat Jamal?
Nah, Jamal.
What about him?
He on the phone right now. He said you called him or something.
I didn't call his fucking ass. Tell him go to sleep. Go to fuck to sleep. You said you'd be here
Listen.
tomorrow.
Touch you with the phone over there, man.
Hey, Jamal. Hey, what's up? I didn't call you.
All right, so Justice Allah came in. La Illuminati, L Gang. You know what I'm saying? But you know, we could get caught. Yeah, you gotta love now, man. I said, yeah. Imagine growing up around this. You know what I'm saying? Reality, true self. But see, that's what happens a lot of times, right? When we start following something, like I said, it could be a set of actions. It could be something that you're doing, right? And you say, okay, well, why are you doing that? Well, we doing that because in 1964, 1965, that's how brothers did it. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, well, it's not 1964, 1965. So we need to show and prove that right now in this day and time, or else we've crossed the line. See, because now once you're doing that, right, and you don't have a reason that you're doing it right now, besides that somebody did it thousands of years ago or 55 years ago or whatever it may be, right? Now you're engaging in rituals. You engaging in a ritual like any other religious ritual. Like when you go to church, right? Why you take communion? Now, when I was there, you know, I was thinking that this was real wine. So I was, thinking we get a little bit of wine or something. You know, as a little kid, this is something that I don't get to do. So of course I'm with this, but I'm saying if you would ask me the whole science, like, okay, this is Jesus' blood, this is his body and all that, but okay, what is the meaning of that right now? You see what I'm saying? Because if you, just because you eat that bread, or whatever that little thing is, that little wafer, right? And you drink the grape juice, that didn't make you righteous. That didn't make the blood of Christ be flowing through your body. That didn't make you the teacher that he was, where he was able to break things down, like they said, from the heavens, from his heavenly Father, and manifest it to people on the earth. You understand what I'm saying? That's something that you got to really take into consideration. Okay, what is the meaning of this? Now you got to prepare yourself for that duty. This is, yeah, symbolic to certain things or whatever, but did you actually go prepare yourself for that duty? If you just thought it was going to happen by osmosis because you drink the grape juice and ate the wafer, then you're just dealing with religion. And so it's the same thing, you understand, where, like I said, that was a common slang terminology that people were saying. Divine evil. Until, eventually over time, somebody presented that, hold on, wait. We got to think about what we're saying right here. Like on this hand, we got something that is divine. And on this hand, you got something that you're saying is evil. See, now if we take it on face value, we might be thinking, oh, well, it means pure evil. He's all evil. No, that's not what it means. You didn't really take into consideration what divine means and what evil means. And so you just said it religiously. See, the same thing. If look, it don't matter what, it can be right or wrong. Because see, many of you dependent, it might have happened before you got the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? It might have happened after you got the knowledge, right? But for instance, You know, I've come in tune with individuals, right? Say even before I had the knowledge, that they had the knowledge, right? And they presented, you know, the brother said he was God. See what I'm saying? But because he couldn't show and prove it for himself, none of us that was around him got the knowledge. I guess he was trying to recall certain things that he might have heard somebody say, but now you just saying it, it's still religious. Because you relying on a person, you know, in a person's wisdom who's not here right now to speak for themselves, to even say that this is how they would do it if they was here in this day and time. See, now you've begun to elevate people, right? You've begun to elevate people in events, right, above who we are right here, right now. Yeah, I don't care who it is. They said that 50 years ago. All right, well, what's that got to do with right now? What are they putting in the activation right now that will lead you to say, okay, you know, yeah, let me do it that way. Like right now, if a person tell you, listen, they and this is always a great example because it illustrates things. It illustrates things. If a person told you, listen, man, I was the best brain surgeon in 1950. Do you think it's better to let him operate on your brain than somebody who's maybe, you know, he's the 10th best brain surgeon, but in 2020? Because knowledge is infinite, so therefore we can't, you know, if we still activating off of the same thing without being able to show and prove it for ourselves right now, then what's the real difference in what you're saying? See, because that's also in there when you're dealing with these things, you have concepts that I'm not sure what the word for that is, but you have concepts that's kind of a misnomer. For me to come and tell you that you God, but you have to rely on somebody that you never met before for all the knowledge and wisdom that you're going to get the best part of. So now what happens every time somebody asks you a question? What happens every time somebody asks you a question, then you don't really know that. Then you got to go back, right, and refer to the brother who told you that. And so that's why we got to examine, there was a time, and there's still a time, where you will hear people saying, well, yo, brothers is nitpicking. No, that's actually a science, right, of you being aware. See, we say things and we do things, right, that a lot of times our awareness is not 100% there. You might be talking to somebody, but you typing on your phone, you checking your messages. So you're not 100% fully aware of what you're doing in either case. Like, yeah, you have the capacity to, split your attention, but don't ever think that your split attention is worth the same thing as your undivided attention. See, like I discussed before, a lot of times, when I was growing up and an older person was talking to you, they would tell you, look at me when I'm talking to you. Because two senses is better than one. See, even when you're dealing with a memory, right? How many different levels this thing affected you on is going to have an impact on how well you recall that thing. They see, even dealing with 120 lessons. How many different experiences did you have dealing with 120 lessons? See, all of that causes you to recall it more than you just say, well, you know, I'm in my house by myself and I read over it every couple of days. Okay, but you didn't hear the other guys say it. Like, I recall that. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yo, you know what? I recall when the other guy said it the wrong way, and just the way the cipher went, that whole experience adds on to your memory, right, of you studying the lesson. When you actually have that experience. Yeah, I remember when I was building on this degree, man, and, you know, when I was going through my understanding, I went in the wrong direction, you know, so the guys had to bomb me on that. See, that's more, you know, actually knowledge. That's more data that your brain has the ability to analyze. And when all these things coincide, right, all of that solidifies the memory that you're dealing with. And so Supreme Man just came in the room, you know what I'm saying, where I first got the idea from. And the original question that we were supposed to be answering on the next live, this is the next live, I'm pretty sure, is mystery God a misnomer? You know, let's start off from there, and then we'll go into a couple of these other, what I put in the title here? Muslims other than righteous, mystery gods, and divine evils for this civilization class. A couple of things that I thought of off the top of my head where, okay, now if we really think about that, right? You know, what are we saying? What are we really asking? You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna leave that open to the floor right now for everybody to, in fact, let me go on ahead and put the link up here in case anybody wants to come in and add on. While y'all formulating your answers, let me go over here to the back to the comments. Like West Coast Wise said, indeed, I was building with Why King about that, and it's on some cannibal science. Why would you eat his flesh and drink his blood? Now, one of the concepts behind that, right, is that Jesus was the last sacrifice. That was one of the things, you know how they say that Jesus came to kind of release the people from you know, certain aspects of how they was worshiping religion before that. And one of the aspects that he came, right, was to you know, or one of the that they use his name, however you want to see it, he was the last sacrifice. And so that's why, you know, theoretically, not saying I agree with him, but that's why you know, you drink his blood and eat his flesh in eternity, right? Because, you know, this is like the ultimate offering in that sense. You know what I'm saying? And so that's one of the things that Christianity and Islam, you know, you see, you got so much Arabic stuff mixed in with religious Islam, but in general, you know, the new religions kind of released everybody from, you know, the act of having to do sacrifices in order to show and prove that you bear witness to God. Reverend Gorilla said, if I greet a God with the 11th jewel and say knowledge, knowledge, which is peace, is that considered slang? I mean, yes, it's slang. Because I still got to know what you're talking about. Like, see, that's kind of the difference between slang and, just normal usage of the language. You see what I mean? Because, let's say you say knowledge, knowledge, you could mean something about words bond. You know what I'm saying? You could be asking a question. Does that have anything to do with the above question? There's certain people that they would never understand. Like, this is a slang terminology that you're using, with people that you know. Self-I build. What's this? Seventh sign TVA. It's been a minute. I've seen seventh sign been in here with us before. Right, see, West Coast Wise said right here, when I hear knowledge, knowledge is either have you not heard your word is blind, or tell us, will you wait for that mystery God to bring you food? So true self said, I say knowledge, knowledge to agree with who I converse with. You see, that's what I'm saying. When you have all of these possible, meanings to what you're saying, that's kind of what tells you that you're using slang. You said if it ain't burning, it ain't learning. That's one of the realities that, a lot of people try to escape. You try to escape this situation, where, the way I look at it is, look, if you've been in this nation for any length of time, right, and you've never been bombed, you've been around the wrong people. Point blank. Either that or listen, stay away from them people because they lining you up. If you've been around us for any length of time and you ain't never been bombed, get away from the people you around. They not here to help you. I don't know who they are. I'm just calling it like I see it. They lining you up, son. So West Coast Wise said, no, it's no misnomer. Just think of all the people that we as 5% taught that is keeping that knowledge to themselves. All right, so we got West Coast Wise in the background. He'll break that down for us. All right, so now we up to we got some self-our bill said it depends on the audience, but 85% mystery guy is a reality for them. However, for the original man, it is a misnomer because he doesn't search for that which does not exist. Now, that's kind of the question. You know what I'm saying? Is that, we know that, the way different people apply mathematics, the way, different people just speak in general, the experiences that different people have. But then we have a reality. Like we have a common reality where, we can all be at an event and we have our interpretation of what we saw. Some things we saw, some things we didn't see. Like somebody be like, yo, did you see that he had that? Nah, I didn't see that. He had that. Get out of here. I didn't even see. But there's still a common reality, of what is true. And so, yeah, if we speak in, and then here's another thing too, you gotta look at, right? Because you said for the 85%, mystery God is a reality, right? Not to them. To them, that's real. And so the term itself, you know what I'm saying? I've never really heard that term outside of this science. Like I've never been to a church. Now I've heard them speak on false gods, but I've never heard the people in the church say mystery God. That's a term that I got familiar with in the lessons. Maybe that's when we bring Supreme Man on in a second, he can build on that. Is false gods a better term? Now Illuminati said, depending on what you acknowledge with religion, not making yourself known as God on that mystery God. So Powerful said the mystery God is trick knowledge made known. The God Abi said there is no mystery God. It's a misnomer. You know what I'm saying? All right, true born. What's the science? The God Abi said there is no mystery God. So it's a misnomer. That's well, we're gonna let Supreme Man speak for himself, but I think that's a part of what he's getting at, is that if there is no mystery God, then us using the term it's something that doesn't exist. You said Al-Mu I build. Yeah, piece of the God. I don't think I knew the brother. Mr. Spot, Christopher Gooding. Luke Cage. Abdul Rafi said not a misnomer. Yaqub taught it. Drieger 13, secularization of thought, or synchronization of thoughts. King Me, they do say that God works in mysterious ways. They do say that. That was one of the things that caused me to leave, though. Because he didn't seem to be working mysteriously, to the people that's in the Bible. Like, if he works in mysterious ways, how are we so concrete on the laws that he's given us to live by? Black Justice, Players Ball said it's not a misnomer, it's being referred to correctly. All right, so let's bring Supreme Man in first right here to add on. Supreme Man.
Peace.
You there?
Indeed. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So we opened up the class today with the question that you asked last week. Is mystery God a misnomer? So, I read off some of the comments on how brothers see that. So I'm gonna take it back to you.
Well, you have two words there. You have mystery and God. So if you're talking about who the true and living God is, there's no mystery in it. So when you say a mystery God, what are you talking about? From my perspective. How can you, the only person that has any mystery of God is that who don't know what God is. And then as soon as you find out what God is, you find out that it ain't no mystery God. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say it's an oxymoronic statement.
Yeah, I can definitely see what you're saying. I never really, looked at it from that perspective. You know what I'm saying? Right. But there's, it, like you said, it actually tells you that in a degree that this whole idea is a falsehood.
One brother commented that it's not a misnomer because Yaqub taught it, but what was Yaqub's purpose? It was to be deceptive. It wasn't to be truthful.
What did Yaqub teach about a mystery God?
You asking me?
Yeah.
He taught that if your baby dies, it's gonna have a place for you in heaven.
All right.
So we know that shit ain't real.
Right.
So Yaqub was given rules and regulations to keep the people mentally trapped so he could utilize their genetics to create an inferior genetic manifestation. If you would have told the 59,999 followers, yeah, we're going to make a devil, come on, they wouldn't have rolled with that. How did he even get them over there to Pilon? What did he do? What was his main objective of how he got them to even follow him to Pilon? What was he telling the people?
He promised them riches.
Right. That's deception. That's a lie. So everything that he dealt with in the foundation of creating the devil was manifested out of deception. Now, one thing I know about a lie, the foundation of it has to be the truth. So if the mystery God is a lie, what is the foundation of the mystery God?
True and living God.
Right. So the first word you used was true. True is an undisputed fact. Or truth is an undisputed fact by definition. To say something true is, in the spirit of truth. So that's why I say, I understand the concept of the mystery God, but for those who are learned of the culture and the science, it's a misnomer. You brought up another point that I always bring up too. When somebody says divine evil, those are two opposing words. And I see mystery God as the same thing. It's opposite of each other. Mystery God. You know what I'm saying? Because there is no mystery God. You know?
Well, what about this perspective right here? Because just as a concept, not so much as words that you put together, but when they speak on the mystery schools of Egypt, right? And I'm like, okay, well, how are these schools mysterious if they imparted knowledge to people all around, at least the Mediterranean world at that time?
I have an answer for that. If you go back 50,000 years, that's the time period that we're talking about, right? The only educated people in that time period were the ones closest to the royal bloodline or those within the royal bloodline. So the majority of the people, those learned systems were mysterious because if you wasn't with the royal family or, around the royal family, then you were just a laborer. That's like, I ain't gonna say the beginning of the 10%, but our documented evidence of a 10% is the Kemetic learning system, because everybody couldn't learn that learning system.
But
You know
just
what
what
I
I'm
mean?
saying, what is the basis upon which they couldn't learn it?
Because they were not part of the royal bloodline, or they were not close to the royal bloodline.
Okay,
So
this
just for instance,
right.
just for instance, if me and you were not born in that bloodline, or were not connected to that bloodline in any type of way, we could only rise to the level of laborers in society. We were not given the privilege of that higher learning science.
But
That's
this
10%.
this is my perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
When did it come to that level? Because a lot of even the description of that as being a mystery school, like for instance, right, when we come on here and we speak our mathematics, right, to some people that language is mysterious. Like they hear us using words that they know, but the way we're using it, they don't understand.
I agree.
So how much of it is a mystery because of you, because of the fact that you can't understand what's going on? Now it becomes something that's mysterious, but there was never anything mysterious about it.
Well, I would say this. Something that's a mystery and something that mysterious is just a little bit different. Because if something is mysterious, that means it has, again, going to the word mystique. There's a mystique about it that's not understood because that knowledge has not been presented to that individual as of yet.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But if you put the mystique of God, right, which would be what? Just knowing that there is no mystery God.
Well, not at that time though. At that time, right? Recall that in at least the coaches that I've studied, right, amongst the original men, whoever was the rulers was at the very least related to God. You understand what I'm saying?
Say that one more time.
In original cultures, the ones that I've studied so far, the rulers of the country was at least related to God if they wasn't God.
Okay.
Now,
I can get with that.
when Ptolemy showed up, right?
Mm-hmm.
He wanted the priests in Egypt to make him a god.
Mm.
And they was like, it don't work like that. And so he started actually murdering some of the priests, and the people who had that degree of knowledge. And so at that point, a lot of them went underground. And so, from his perspective of, how did these people become gods, right? It seems like a mystery, but there never was a mystery to it. It was just that you refused to learn who was causing all this to happen by letting the 5% teach you, or you refused to accept the truth of the matter that there's some prerequisites in order for you to elevate to this full potential of saying that's who you are.
I mean, from my history of learning that of some of that science, they started attributing natural phenomena mystery. You understand what I'm saying?
What happened? Something happened to your sound. Yeah, I can hear you now.
1 2 1 2. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
It's low though. They started attaching the title of God to natural phenomena. So instead of seeing the water as a natural part of the planet, they started saying there's a water god. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of seeing fire as combustion from sunlight, there's other ways to make fire. I'm just using one instant. They started saying there's a god of fire. And then they start saying these gods need sacrifices. So they start killing people in the name of these natural phenomena. Again, we're talking about 50,000 years ago. Our science is way older than that. And that's where some people get stuck. Because again, you're talking about really the beginning of the 10%. When you start telling people that something outside of the natural phenomenon of life is attached to something that is natural, that is downside. I don't care what they call themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because for trillions of years, we searched for that.
Now, hold on. This is another part in terms of, because see, to me, Egypt is very time sensitive, right? Because of the invasions. And so, around what time did they start to prescribe these powers to the mystery God?
That's a great question. I don't really have an answer for that. I think that the downfall of man in general was the hierarchy system. You know what I'm saying? When if me and you sitting somewhere, and then I say, you know what, Darkim? I'm a king and you're not. And everybody after me in my bloodline is going to be a king. And everybody in your bloodline is going to be a peasant. Who started that?
Well, the Son of Man searched for this mystery God for trillions of years. So, these times that you're going back to, there's not a colored man there to be the source of that.
Indeed so. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, the whole phenomenon of hierarchies, it all coincides with the teachings of the mystery God. But I can't give you a definitive date when somebody first said,
hold on for a second.
Something outside of this planet that we gotta bear witness to that's giving us force and power out of our control.
There's a brother asking some questions in here that I think we need to build on. Abdul Rafi says the devilishment that took place on account of Yaqub's teachings is a testimony to that mystery God. Yakub created the mystery God, therefore he exists as a body or idea. And it says the idea is not a mystery. So how you see that?
I don't see that. Deceptive teachings.
All right. What's the name guy? Something happened with him real quick with his feed. So we're gonna bring in West Coast Wise.
Finally.
Yeah.
Peace.
You gotta get your last swings in right now. You know, I'm only 13. I'm 13 subscribers away.
Oh man, I gotta make this count then.
You better make this one count. You know what I mean?
There's some things that, you know, Supreme Man said that I see, but I don't necessarily agree with. For me, when I hear mystery, it's something that has not been revealed or something that's not known. You know, God means supreme being. Supreme means highest form, being means to exist. So there's a distinction when he said true and living God, right? Compared to that which is false and dead, you know? So God by itself, the supreme being, okay, so there's many deities that people pray to that's God. But there's a distinction in the lesson that says supreme being dealing with the knowledge equality degree, right? So supreme, or not supreme, the true and living God, right? So the true and living God is the distinction, you see, compared to just God, right? And the mystery is something that they was trying to find, and then they agreed that, okay, we're what we're trying to find. So I don't see it as they're opposing. One, just mystery just means it has not been revealed yet, and God is just the supreme being, right? And like you said, in different ciphers, like the church or whatever ideology, they don't necessarily deal with a mystery God in the sense of mystery God. They're talking about, you know, a God in the sky that's, you know, too pure for us to see and all that stuff, right? So, and I'm tying it into what I said in the chat was that, you know, we taught a lot of people the knowledge of themselves, right? And we gave people, you know, oh, who's the original man? The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, father of civilization, God of the universe. We gave them that, and they were a part of this culture, and they said they would live it out, but then some of them left, and they don't come around, and they don't teach this anymore. So what do we call them? They may not have lost the knowledge of themselves and turned to a savage, but they became that what? Mystery God, because they're no longer here. You see? So that's what I was saying in the chat. So when I hear mystery God.
So are you looking at it? Let me ask you a question. Are you looking at it? By the way, we got Alfonso Brown, the original Mythbuster. I don't know what drew him to this live, but look, we got the original Mythbuster here. You know, we're not getting that past the original Mythbuster. You know what I'm saying? Love came in the building, but I had to point that out that, you know, we got to be on our P's and Q's. We got Elias hitting us up from Facebook, but let me see if I understand what you're saying in terms of like, even if we say that you know, we didn't always refer to ourselves as God or as black, because there was nothing kind of to contrast that with. Yeah. And so kind of the concept of what we deal with as God right now is kind of a Western European kind of concept.
Indeed.
And so within that concept, you have to still distinguish between mystery gods and the true concept of the supreme being, like you said.
Indeed. Because if you go amongst the 85 or whoever and you say God, they're automatically going to relate it to what they think God is, and not necessarily what we are talking about. You see, so I think somebody in there said it's all relative. Yeah, so when like I said, so when you talk about God, it's kind of relative from where the people are coming from. But when you're talking about the true and living God, right? That's the distinction. Just like in the lessons, it's talking about, Yaku's made devils, grabbed the devils, and all that different. There's the distinction between all these different things, right? So God and true and living God, is different. That's how I see it. So yeah, there are mystery gods. It's those that know this. They haven't went savage, but they disappeared, and we don't see them nowhere. They're, some of them are keyboard warriors, and you never see them in the physical. Yeah. So a lot of them are keyboard warriors, and you don't see them in the physical. So yeah.
So we're gonna bring in Supreme Man is back in Love Eternal. To Love Eternal, let's let you add on first, that you just came in to the topic. Oh wait, did I cut you? I cut the wrong person. All right, Love, you there?
Peace to the God.
Peace.
Peace, God wise. Is that God wise?
Yeah.
Peace, God wise. Peace, Supreme Man. I can't hear the God.
Yeah, I muted his mic. Everybody else is muted.
Okay.
And you
all right. Let me cut to the chase, God. Now, it's good when anybody can express something new that nobody else may have been able to express because they never considered it. However, I want to say, as far as the mystery God is concerned, independent of the words the understandings that you can come out with of that, we're speaking specifically about the righteous but unseen being that does not exist anywhere. You understand? When we say mystery God, we're talking about the idea that people have about a righteous but unseen being that exists everywhere. And that's what is readily understood also. Although, not to take anything from what the God wise said, because it's innovative, but historically we because what other term are we going to use? And we can use an anthropomorphic idea. We can, it'll take us 20 years again to come up with new terms to describe that idea that the 85% have, which is that a righteous but unseen being that exists everywhere causes all things to happen. And we call that a mystery God. Add on, God.
Hold on, let me let Supreme Man come in.
Peace to the gods. This is my point of this whole conversation is like what the God said about individuals who don't come among us could turn into proverbial mystery gods. I can see that to a certain degree, but the fact that you can hear them or possibly see them at some point, I think it takes the mystery out of them. Because though we may not be as a collective still in tune with certain individuals, somebody amongst us is in tune with them. You understand what I'm saying? So they, some of these individuals, they can be reached out and touched by somebody, even if it's not even of the collective of our nation. Somebody in their family can reach out and touch them. So the mystery God is dealing with invisibility, lack of the five senses, basically: see, touch, hear, taste, and smell. You know what I mean? That was part of one of the things that when I first learned the knowledge, that was, questioned to me. If that God is real, then what can you do to prove it's real? Now, 85%ers say, look in the sky, it rains and it snows and it's earthquakes and all that. But we know as scientists that there are scientific definitions or explanations rather to describe this phenomenon that's happening on the planet Earth. We know earthquakes deal with tectonic plates and all of that. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody try to teach us that it's a mystery God, we say, nah, that's how it happened. The clouds get heavy, and then the water, when it gets up to 6 miles, it comes back down on the planet Earth. That's the Bill degree. So there's nothing that once you become a learned member of the 5% Nation that would give you any indication that it's anything outside of you that's causing things to happen in your life. The natural phenomenon that happens on the planet, that's not really you doing it. That's just the scientific explanations that we can all learn that happens. So when we were re-educated through these lessons, we could destroy that type of thinking. So what I'm saying is mystery God, oxymoronic statement. If it implies that God, like the God said, is a righteous unseen being that exists everywhere, and you can't show and prove that, that would make it an oxymoronic statement within itself, because oxymoronic statement is something that has one meaning, and then the next word or statements thereafter make that meaning null and void by definition. So that's what I was talking about.
Oh, you done, G?
Indeed.
So, peace.
Peace, God.
I've seen some people in the chat that said that asked the question about if they don't come amongst us anymore, are they not God? I don't think they heard everything that I said. I also said that they don't teach what we teach anymore. That the supreme being is the black man. So, like I said, they didn't go against our teachings and became a savage or lost the knowledge of themselves. They just don't teach this anymore. So they don't teach this anymore. They just, just internalized it and just living their life, right? So yeah, God is seen in her everywhere, but he has to be heard, you see. And yeah, this started in Mecca, and brothers and sisters went all over the world and had this knowledge travel, right? So that's because they were seen and heard, not just seen. Because we don't have billboards on top of our heads, telling people what we know. So we can't just be seen; we got to be heard as well.
I definitely agree with that.
I agree, God, but I want to distinguish it from proselytizing. You know what I mean? Christ.
All right, but I want to
wait a minute. What does proselytizing mean?
Proselytizing is when you go out and you try to convince people of your religion.
Oh, that's he said it differently. Okay, I know what that is.
You know what I'm saying? But I want to get back, because I think what Abdul Rafi was saying is kind of related to this. Is what aspect, right, of people believing in something, right, makes it real? Because what Abdul Rafi is saying, if I understand him correctly, is that because people believe in him, meaning all of the people that died, right, in the wars over Catholicism and Protestantism, right? He's saying that those people really died. You understand what I'm saying? And so there must be some true aspect to it if it's causing things to happen in real life. What would you say to that, Supreme Man? Abdul Rafi, if you're still in the room and you can clarify what you were saying, is that about what you were saying?
Yeah, the way you describe that, it's not clear. Are you saying that if I have a gun on somebody and I say, and I've heard this happen before in Medina, a brother pull a gun on, 85 will pull a gun on you and say, if you God, then I'll bust you, you'll live, right? So if the 85 shoots the God and he dies, does that prove that it's a mystery God? Is that the concept in which you're saying?
Nah, that's separate. What I'm saying is, and it's a question. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying is more like, somebody has a gun on them, right? And they hear a car backfire, right? And so they thought somebody shot at them, right? So this idea that's in their mind that somebody shot at them caused them to pull out and shoot at somebody. You know what I'm saying? They might have saw somebody make a sudden move, so they just start firing in that direction. So what I think Abdul Rafi is saying is that the idea is real.
What idea? The idea of somebody
sound.
shooting at them?
Right, the idea that somebody was shooting at them. So
Right.
what I think
It was an assumption.
The idea that's born in some people's head, right? That there's a mystery God, right? It causes them to act and react on different things. You understand what I'm saying? And that those actions and reactions are real.
Well, that's the effect of the cause of not knowing the truth, though. That doesn't have anything to do with the actual truth. If you know the science of gravity, right, and you get on the roof or you jump off the roof, what does that have to do with gravity? That has to do with your lack of knowledge of gravity. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when you see, mystery God is the description of God in, like the God said, a righteous unseen being that exists everywhere form. And what I'm saying is that form does not exist. So when you put those two words together, it's kind of like saying he's a short, tall nigga.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What is a short, tall nigga?
Well, listen, if you around my height, right, and you in the NBA, you know what I'm saying? You short, tall cat. You like
no, you're not, because everything is relative.
We say when you say mystery God, you mean God? Supreme Man?
No, yeah.
Yeah, you
It's
mean
like
when
saying
you
you're
mean
short,
the term mystery God is oxymoronic, right?
Yeah, that's what this whole conversation.
That's what you're saying, right, God?
Yes, sir.
It is, and that's what the wise was saying earlier, right, God? Is that correct, God?
I thought he's more leaning toward the mystery God is brothers that don't come around no more.
Well, he's saying that. Well, I thought I gathered from the God that mystery God is because mystery is something that has not been disclosed yet, like a gift, and it's in a box.
Indeed.
It's a mystery,
right?
Because nobody knows what's inside of it, right?
Right. Exactly.
And then eventually we'll know what it is. And if a person doesn't know who they are, then they're living in the form of a mystery god, because they don't who they are has not been disclosed to them by whatever circumstances they may have to live by. You know what I'm saying, God?
Now, can I say this? I still won't say they're living in the form of mystery God, because, like, if you go from the Bill degree, what makes rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes, to the knowledge and understanding degree, what brings rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes, my interpretation of the Bill degree is it's a literal definition of rain, right? Not of earthquake, but of rain. Then rain, snow, and hail. When you get to the knowledge and understanding degree, basically what it's saying is this happens regardless to if you're aware of it or not, and you should learn how to control it within your particular cipher. Understand what I'm saying? Because it doesn't go back into the definitive aspects of what literally makes it rain, hail, or snow. It talks about people not learning that, right? From the people who do know about it and still believe in the people who teach the BS about it. You know what I'm saying? So whether you know your God or not, you're God. You do godly things as a man if you're just living a righteous way of life or a civilized way of life. You may never come to the realization that you're God. But if we define what God is, and you're doing more positive than negative, and you're taking care of your family and things of that nature, you're living out the attributes of what God is. You're just not aware of it.
So then let me ask you this, G. What about some of the gods and earths, but God that wasn't living so righteous before this and got this and cleaned up their ways? What about those people? Was there
That's me
not
right there.
was there,
That's me right that you're talking about, G. Right, God? I mean, I wasn't doing too well as an 85. You know what I'm saying, G? Then
When
so
you
I
say
had
what
to.
about
so
them,
then,
what specifically do you mean? What about them?
like, okay, so when you were saying you're 85 and you're living good and all that stuff, you don't know that you're God.
Living righteous, living righteous.
Living righteous, right? But what about those that weren't living righteous and they were just, and it was God is being revealed to them when they got this knowledge? Are they a mystery God? Because it hasn't been revealed yet that who they are, and they're not doing too well, like the God said. You know,
Well,
they're living
there's two.
unrighteous.
To me, there's two polarities. There's God and devil. So if you never come in contact with what God is, then you're susceptible to living out the polarity of the devil based upon the lack of having knowledge of yourself. And you could become a pawn of that society or system which wants you to destroy yourself. So no, you're not a mystery God at that point because you're not even aware that it exists. You know what I mean? You're just kind of existing. You know, I was like in my I won't say I was a straight 85%er because my family was in the Nation of Islam in the 50s, but at the same time, my family that was in the Nation of Islam, they sold drugs.
Hmm.
A lot of them. So it was like two different pulls. Now I got pulled to the drug part at one time. You know what I mean? So it's not about being mysterious. It's about you're only held accountable for what you say you know. You ever heard that? I was taught that early when I had knowledge. You're only held accountable for what you say you know of what you've been taught and told. So when that's what you talk about, a lot of people have a problem with said person of that ability. But I always said to me that means when you said
So
something, that
called.
means it's already stated. So when you're the said person of that ability, what's been stated is that you know right from wrong.
That's not what I got, G. Said,
I know, man. You went through this a couple
right.
years ago. I ain't
But
worried.
you
We could
know,
go through it again.
yeah, but you know, it's like the born degree in the student enrollment or the knowledge add degree in the student enrollment. You know what I mean? What is the said birth record of the Nation of Islam? And then what is the birth record of said nations other than Islam? And there it clearly means so-called, God. And so-called is that which is not. So what are the prescribed laws of Islam to a said person of that ability? That's so-called person. Because in the knowledge build degree and the knowledge born degree already discussed who the person is, who the civilized person is. You know what I mean? We already discussed it. So
I don't
you
agree
know
with
what I
that.
mean?
However, I would say this: the word, it has to be interchangeable. It's
I
not
mean,
definitive. Pardon me for a second. It's not definitively so-called. Because if I said I called you love, right? And my word is bond, I called you. That's not I so-called called you. I called you.
no, well, yeah, God. I think the contexts are different. And
Exactly.
what the one that you just mentioned just now, it's not parallel with the one that is in the degree, God. In my estimation, you understand, God?
I
Like,
don't agree with you, but it's all good.
yeah, God.
So basically, my stance was that, it's not a misnomer because I don't see mystery and God being two opposing things. You see, so that's where I went into, if you ask other people what their concept of God is, you're going to hear different things based on, their relationship to the word, right? So that's where the distinction of true living God is. So I don't think it's a misnomer. And that's why I brought that particular example of people going outside of this and not teaching, but not going against what we're talking about and became a savage. They're just not teaching it. So that's
Can
just where I stand, G.
I have a little rebuttal for that. Like
Indeed.
the knowledge coaches degree, one of the main aspects of being an 85%er is people do not know who the true and living God is.
Mm-hmm.
So in your lifespan, like Umallah taught me, anywhere you go, it's 85, 10%, and 5%, right?
Indeed.
So even amongst us, we have brothers who live out more attributes of the knowledge coaching degree with the knowledge of themselves
Mm-hmm.
than the attributes of the knowledge equality degree. You know what I'm saying?
So would they be mystery gods then? Or how
No,
how
no,
would you, so
they're
is
See,
there
God.
a
God,
distinction?
I
Is
think
there
you
a
can
Everything is
use it
not a
in different
mystery because it lacks
contexts.
understanding.
Like, gee, when the traitor disappeared, right?
mm-hmm.
It's like that's a mystery God right there who bounced on us. You know what I mean? Like if we have a plan and we're addressing a group of brothers or people, and in that plan, when we come to execute it, whoever was involved in the discussion, if they do not appear, there's like, yo, what happened? The traitor disappeared. And they say, well, that's a mystery God. You know what I mean? Like a spook God. You understand what I mean? Because they never appeared. They never made themselves present. And I just, people, brothers use it, or at least I do. I use it in different contexts. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you could. Yeah, it
Yeah.
has a slangish vernacular to it sometimes, but the literal aspect is the traitor when he disappeared, he wasn't God. He was a
Eh,
traitor.
eh,
So he was a
Yeah, God,
mystery
but
traitor. He wasn't a mystery God.
I'm saying, God, even if like he becomes a mystery God, which is that which does not exist, God. You know what I mean? Because there is
So
no mystery
everything.
God.
So listen.
See,
So
there is
everything
no
that
mystery
doesn't
God.
exist. I know that. So
Right?
everything that doesn't exist has to take a godly aspect. Nah, man.
It
No,
depends
no,
on
no, no, no,
Nah,
no, no,
man.
no.
what
We're talking
relationship.
about
man.
people, God. We're talking about people.
Yeah,
We're
every
talking about
person don't
people.
take on a godly aspect either. They just like if you do some bullshit, you just a bullshitter. You don't have to attribute God to that individual because they do some bullshit.
How
I
I see it
mean,
is it's just based on your relationship to that person. You see, uh, in that degree we're talking about, the traitor disappeared and the people he left behind hung on his ability to talk to them. You see? So he was like, and I understand what the God is saying, is based on his relationship to them is why he's a mystery God, because there was no one left to speak their language.
yeah,
So
that's what.
did they worship him?
Well,
Did
it
they
doesn't
worship him?
matter, God. I mean, we agreed. Like, for example, God, that we're all here, all four of us, and then we say, "Yo, we're gonna meet on, in Times Square on this particular day," and then whosoever doesn't show up and doesn't express it to all of us clearly, and doesn't make excuse themselves for that, then we're gonna have to put a question mark on that.
I
We're gonna have
understand
to
that.
say, "Yeah, God."
I understand that, but you will only say I'm a mystery God because we're 5%ers. If it was my
Right.
cousin, if I was my cousin Ham eating Hank over here, and he was supposed to meet us too, would you call Hank a mystery God? You just say no, the 85 didn't show up.
Yeah,
One thing,
exactly.
one thing I hear, right, is that in this happens. You know what I'm saying? When we use certain specific terminologies, right? Uh Islam, God,
Right.
there's a cultural aspect, right, of how we see it, right? And then there's also a religious connotation to it too. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? And so kind of depending on which context you start speaking on, it can kind of adjust whether you see it as something that's actual or something that's not.
I agree.
Indeed, that's why I started with defining these words.
Mm-hmm.
God is just a supreme being. Supreme means highest form being, means to exist. So depending on what you think the supreme being is, some people was praying to statues. Some people pray, worship their woman or something like that. So depending on who God is in relation to you, then that's what you're
But I
operating.
have one question for you then, God.
Indeed.
If you're saying that it depends on, for lack of a better term, your understanding of what God is, and if you say God is a turnip, right, and all power in the universe comes from this turnip, that's emphatically now cipher, God. Like we've learned.
Indeed, yeah.
Listen to me. That's
Mm-hmm.
why when you say if it's based upon a person's perception, if your perception is limited and is not based on scholarship, research, and history, then really your opinion don't mean shit.
I agree.
So it has to be higher than the perception of the individual. Because if I say that God is the sun, which a lot of people attribute that
Mm-hmm.
because it's the thing that really gives energy to the entire planet, right?
Indeed.
But we don't teach that. We teach that we're the sun within our own solar system that we make. And then that's when you go into literal definitions and then definitions, for lack of a better term, which are symbolic. A lot of guys don't like to say symbolic, but you have to be real because you're
God, we can
not.
say metaphorical, God.
You
We
can
can
say
say a
that too. You can say
metaphorical
that too.
or a simile. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like we might say that life is a rose, or I mean, like a rose. It's a simile, God. We use similes.
No doubt. No doubt. But I'm
And
saying like the perception of somebody saying something is God is irrelevant to the statement because once you drift back into the mystery God thinking, see, you can only understand mystery God as an oxymoronic statement if you know who the true and living God is. If you
Right,
don't know who the
right.
true and living God is, you can't distinguish
That doesn't
between
make sense,
the mystery
right?
God.
It wouldn't make
Right,
sense. Right.
exactly.
Wouldn't
We
make
can't. We
sense.
have to teach the 85% what God is.
Right. They get upset when, in fact, wise, they get upset when you talk about the mystery God. You're like, there is no
Oh
mystery God.
yeah, yeah.
They be like, there is a such thing as a spook. Yes, there is. You know what I mean? So when even we, God, and that, for instance, there, when we refer to the spook, we use the term mystery God. What spook? There is no
It's
such thing, but
interchangeable.
the
Right.
idea that people have of the spook, you know what I mean? That idea, that's what we call a mystery God.
Yeah.
It's called idol worship. And
And
it's
it
the
goes back to what
worst.
I said: see, hear, touch, taste, or smell it. If you can't do that to it, it ain't real.
But like you, so are you saying? Oh, okay, okay. So so what I'm saying is, as far as people's relationship to God, as far as the word God, the supreme being, right? I'm not saying they're basing that off of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. You see, I'm saying that's just their relationship, and most times it's based off emotion. Now, us being the supreme being, right, and having knowledge of self, we know, who the true living God is. But as I said before, we make a distinction by saying true and living God compared to just God. You see? So,
True.
and that's where I'm going with, if you ask anybody else who is God, they say Buddha, they'll say whoever, right? But we're talking about the true and living God. Without a doubt is us. You see? So that's all I'm saying, G. That's all I'm saying.
Well, a true Christian is not going to bear witness to a mystery God. They're not going to let them two words come together either. They're going to be like, ain't no mystery God. God is real. God is in everything. God made the universe. If you say mystery God, that's an insult to them.
And then
Yeah,
we'll go through supreme math and then take them through the steps. And then, if they don't want to bear witness, then that's just them.
But the 85 were taught that by the 10%. You know what I mean? And it wasn't just, sweet teachings. It was with fear and
no doubt.
And even the white people, when they were gotten Christianity, they had to get it with fear too, with medievalism and all that other stuff.
Right.
They had it crazy in the medievalism. You know what I mean? So all that Christianity was implanted with fear.
Right.
For the 2,000 years and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Born degree in 1 to 36.
Yeah.
It's not just talking, that's saying a lot. And that degree deals with a lot of different science.
And bad food, you know what I mean?
The next degree. Right.
Yeah.
And that bad food is Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, all of that.
God mixed with not knowing how to take a shower.
Right. Now we're going back to civilization. We're going back to civilization.
Yeah, God.
Right.
Drinking dirty water.
Cleanliness next to godliness. That's what I always heard.
They had to use forks, and they had to use forks and knives for sanitation purposes, man. The original man taught them to use utensils because where we're from, everybody eats from the same bowl with their hands because we understood cleanliness already. But these dudes didn't. You had to give them utensils to help separate the germs and things of that nature. You know what I mean? From the intake into the body. So the mystery God that the Christians them talk about is just like a real bad statement. You know what I mean? It's real bad.
It kind of leads into the one of the other statements that I put up there, right?
I was just about to go into.
You know, where it says, are there any Muslims other than righteous? Right? You know,
I
now
beg your pardon. I have never heard of
course, on the surface, right? Let me clarify that. Look, whoever you are, you know what I'm saying? Meaning, you know, maybe not everybody on here is a 5% like me, right? And so I'm just saying, when you understand the terminology, kind of what Supreme Man is saying, that look, there's only one God, you know what I'm saying, and that's the black man. So once we start to, kind of have other definitions, you know what I'm saying, of what God is, or what a Muslim is, or what a Moor is, or you know what I'm saying, whatever. When we say that, right? Are there any Muslims other than righteous? You know what I mean? What are our thoughts on that statement right there? Because that kind of goes into what you were saying too, Wise, in terms of, we say that a 5% is a poor righteous teacher, but what about those individuals who know who the true and living God is, right? And don't teach who the true and living God is. You understand what I'm saying? Does that, how much of that comes down to how we're defining the identity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how much of it comes down to our kind of idea, we idealize concepts a little bit. You understand what I'm saying?
Indeed. So first I want to, lay the foundation, like, how are we defining Muslim? So are we defining it like Webster, or are we defining it how we see it? So that's where I want to start.
Well, in the context of the lesson, you know what I'm saying, he's defining Muslim as true and living. He's defining Muslim as, by the book. You know what I'm saying? By the book, this is what Muslims do right here. So if you're doing things that's outside of that definition, then you're not a true Muslim. These things is what comes down to wars a lot of times.
Yeah.
Is a Protestant a true Christian? You understand what I'm saying? And we've seen that thing amongst us too. You know what I'm saying? Where, if this person says this, are they really one of us?
All right. So based on just, what you just said, that would make it seem like we are Muslims, because, no, I'm not saying that we are. I'm just saying that it makes it seem like that, because what we teach. Now, in the knowledge equality, it talks about civilized people, also Muslims and Muslim sons. You see, keyword also, not necessarily the civilized people or those people, but also known as this, right? So there's a distinction. If that's the case, and let's just, keep it with the Nation of Islam, not all, but a lot of Elijah's followers, based on that, would not be considered Muslim, because they were doing dirt in the name of Elijah. They was, taking people out, like they was returning people.
Remember, we're a Hotep channel.
Hotep.
Don't forget now. We ain't trying to offend nobody.
Yeah, like I said, no offense, but the truth is the truth. They was returning.
Can I speak on this?
Go ahead.
See, when you get these lessons, right? This is for younger brothers that's listening to sisters.
Mm-hmm.
You have to learn 120 as a discipline and an introduction to different schools of thought. So you're going to get that degree, right? It says righteous Muslim. We are not that. After you learn 120 lessons, then you could get into the historical context of who asked that question, who answered that question, what was going on in the United States of America at that time. Approximately 1933. There were no 5%ers in 1933 as a nation.
No. Nope.
So
Sorry about that.
it's all peace, God. The historical context of that question at that time, like Darkim said, was referring to people who had given up Christianity and had become registered Muslims in the Nation of Islam. So when you say, what are we using the term Muslim? We are using the term Muslim as taught by Elijah Muhammad, which means, it doesn't mean what it means to the Sunnis per se. You know what I'm saying? And then literally the translation for what I learned is one of peace. Mu means one, salam means peace. Is put together. It's a compound word.
That's how I first learned it.
Yeah, I've been debating on that a million times, but it is what it is. It makes sense to me. So one of peace. So then when you talk about one of peace in a literal manifestation, that's us. But historically,
yeah,
1933, Father was what, 4 years old? You know what I'm saying?
He was 6.
No, 5 years old.
Oh, 5, right. Yeah.
Depend on the month.
Yeah, 5 years old.
Yeah, depending on the month. Yeah.
Right.
Because he was 6 when the 1 of 40 was written.
Approximately. You know what I mean?
Indeed.
So, but for people that's young in knowledge, knowing the definition of a Muslim is not as important as learning the verbatim quotation of that degree. That may be hard for you to grasp, but it's true. Like when I was learning 120, the people who taught me, I gotta say it, Billsville on the Hill, you already know. They wouldn't even let me read a book outside of 120. They said, nah, don't read nothing. Learn this verbatim. Every time I see you, it would behoove you to elevate. And they ain't say it like that. But they say it would behoove you to elevate in those degrees when you come on these hill and grounds. Because if you don't, it could be consequences.
Yeah, my God, the gods, they was like that. Yeah, we had to learn 120 fast, B.
Yeah,
I mean, not even because of the pressure, but if you wanted to build with anybody and you want to have a conversation, you better know something to talk about. You know what I mean? You have to learn. In order to learn and get the knowledge from the gods, you have to know 120, because that was the way that they were going to explain it to us.
So here's a question.
We had a whole lot of other books. We had encyclopedias too, and the gods would say, okay, that's cool, but get this down pat so we can get to building. You know what I mean?
Here's a question. At what point, because like I said, we in particular right there, we went into the definition of a Muslim. But I'm saying within, like you said, we're talking about a righteous individual who's given up the negative aspects of whatever society that they exist in, right? At what point, like we say, one negative act is not going to make a righteous man unrighteous, and one positive act is not going to make an unrighteous man righteous, At what point of unrighteousness, right, do you leave the definition of being true to whatever that original righteous concept is, whether it's Muslim, whether it's God, whether it's Christian, or whatever the case may be?
I would say it depends on what you came in the nation with, whether that is the NOI or the 5%, and that's kind of what I was going into when I was talking about what I was talking about, is that, you know, generally speaking, a lot of us came with, okay, thank you. A lot of us came with pins in our head, right? And it just depends on how well you did by taking those pins out, right? So speaking to what Darkim was just saying is that if you was doing something, thank you, if you was doing something before you got the knowledge and you're not elevating or bettering yourself, right, then that doesn't apply to you. As far as, okay, you could have been, for an example, you could have been like a pimp before, right? You got knowledge of self, you got knowledge of self, and then now you became.
That was ignorant, love.
No, I was just listening to the brother Bill, guy.
That was ignorant, God. Go ahead, Wah.
What happened? I didn't even
Nothing,
see.
God. Go ahead, God. Bill, God.
Yeah, that was a private joke.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you know, if you come with that,
Oh Christ!
you don't deal with some form of refinement. I know how brothers feel about that, or you know, whatever. But if you don't deal with some form of refinement in what you brought, and you continue to do that, that doesn't apply to you. You see, you're not righteous.
So what you're saying is, you like when we say used to be, never was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's how I see that. Basically, you ask, when does a person be classified as negative based upon whatever spiritual system they dealing with, right?
Qualified and disqualified.
Right. I say it's the totality of what you do on a regular basis, which defines who you are. So if you say you're a 5%er and you know 120 and you know plus degrees and this, that, and the third, but you do things which are diametrically opposed to righteousness on a regular basis, that defines you. Not what you say out your mouth,
Indeed.
not how many things you know. It's what you do on a continual basis which will define you. And it will come out. There's been many brothers that we know that on that last Sunday of the month, they are righteous as hell. But then those other 29 days, when you begin to be amongst these individuals or meet these people's family or close people around them, the totality of what they are is in those 29 days and not that one day of the month where they come and build. So that's what I would say.
Just playing a little God's advocate right here. Playing a little God's advocate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going back to what West Coast Wise was saying, is that person not a mystery God?
No, because what's being shown and proven about them, which takes the mystery out of who they are, is what they do on a continual basis. You know what I mean? It's been shown and proven.
Oh, you would have to know what they're doing.
But that's what I said. Once you get to know the individual. If I don't know you and you come in and you build in this piece, I know many brothers like that. I don't know them personally. You know what I mean? I might see them at the parliament, whatever. But that doesn't make them a mystery God. It's just a mystery to me. We're all connected. So at some point, whatever you're doing out here is going to be defined by somebody else that knows you. You could run into the God's earth at the supermarket or his babies somewhere else. Right. So that takes the mystery out of it. Like there's no mystery, nothing. Because somebody knows it. It just has to be revealed.
You coming from the aspect of the 24th letter saying that nothing in reality is unknown. You know what I'm saying? It's only individuals who may lack the knowledge of what the reality is.
Right. I think that makes it an oxymoronic statement within itself, because where is the mystery God? Where is it? It ain't none. And where is the gods that you're saying that don't come around anymore? Like, somebody knows what they're dealing with. Like me and Darkim, we talking about our brother Mel Kwan, who is our age, Mel Kwan. We don't know what's going on with that brother, right? We miss him. We want to see him because he was highly elevated in a certain stage of life where we were not. And I just want to see the greatness that I know he probably personified. But even though we don't know about him, somebody in our nation know what's going on with this brother.
So we got a very good question in the room right here, which is something that I was getting ready to go into, right? Because we talked about some of the things that disqualifies, right? But what are the things that qualifies? Why Sen asked a question right here. Mm-hmm. So only actions can define you as God, not just being an original man.
I can speak on that. I don't want to dominate the conversation, but you have potential energy and kinetical living energy. Every black man is born with the potential to be God, but you cannot be God in totality without learning how to be God. And that was what I was talking about before. To make something kinetic, it needs a spark. A spark is a light that comes on. You know what I mean? You can't live this out in totality. Notice I say in totality without knowing what it is.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just add, like the God Darkim had a build was that you got to walk with God. So what was that? Yeah, so you got to walk with God, and that's just, you know, me agreeing with Supreme Man. Yeah, like, you know, this is something that is mind to mind, you know, ear to mouth. You see, in this particular culture, you see, so you got to walk with God.
Yeah, and one thing I would add on to that is probably the only thing you can just be is probably a baby. But other than that, there has to be some action involved. Like, look, even if you a convict, you got to get arrested. You got to you got to do some crimes. You got to go to jail. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You know, if you a football player, you know, you're gonna have to catch the pill or throw it or tackle or something. You understand what I'm saying? No matter what the title is, you know, if you a race
say peace because my battery's down.
Business in his car right
say
now.
peace.
In order
peace, God. Can I allude to something in that aspect? You have a lot of people who say Usain Bolt would be a great football player because he's very fast. Well, me, in my experience in football, that's not right and exact. Because there are too many other aspects of football that he would have to learn in order to show and prove that he could be a great football player.
You got to know how to take a hit.
Yeah, but he has to know the technical aspects of even getting off the line, running a route, understanding how to catch the ball, understanding footwork. You know what I mean? It's right. It's a lot more definitive than just running fast in a straight line.
Indeed.
If that was the case, then anybody with speed would be successful in football. And I'm a Raider fan. So we had many fast people, and they was garbage. Because they couldn't run routes. They couldn't catch. You know, it's a lot of different variables to it. But the same thing applies with having an analogy yourself. Like when Rakim said, God by nature, mind raised in Asia. It's not that he was not right, but he wasn't right in exact. He wasn't right in exact.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah. It was just a rhyme anyway. But I'm just saying, it sounds slick, but it's a lot more to it. You know what I mean? Than just being a black man. Because RuPaul is a black man. Woo. Is he God?
Now cipher.
Okay. And he disqualified himself by what? His ways and actions.
Bro, gotta take shots.
Oh.
I'm just
Guys,
showing
man, I can't hear y'all. Can y'all hear me?
Hold tip.
I'm just showing and proving, God. If that's a person, listen, we are a Hotep channel. If that's a person's chosen way of life, that's on them. That's their personal choice, and I have no opinion of that. But I'm just, in the context of what we teach.
Yeah.
He can't come to the rally and drag and talk about he God.
I definitely agree with that. You know what I'm saying? That, even for what you were saying in terms of the potential, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we all kind of Asiatic black men, naturally.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's already. But when you look at everything else in that degree, that's something you got to do. You understand what I'm saying? When you say the maker, you know what I'm saying? Even an owner, you know what I'm saying? If you ever owned anything, then that's building too. You know what I'm saying? In order for you to keep something established, your ownership of 120 lessons on CAP is something that you got to continue to build in order to maintain. You know what I'm saying? Being a father, you know what I'm saying? So you can't just come from Asiatic black men and then skip all of these steps and things you got to do, and then you arrive at God in the universe.
Right.
Because Yakub was an Asiatic black man. You see, and if we're just basing all that, then we might as well just say, we're pro-black. If it's just got to do with what you look like, your color, then we might as well just be pro-black.
Now, can I speak on that for a minute? Because I think that is one of the most misunderstood things in our nation. And this is how I interpret what the father was saying. It's very simple. If you are black, it doesn't mean you're 100% right. And if you are white, it doesn't mean you're 100% wrong. That is the only definitive aspect of that I can see. That people get so misconstrued and twisted upside down in our nation. So I just wanted to say that. I don't think it means any more, any less than that.
That's big.
So I just wanted to say that.
And even that is is powerful right there.
But you gotta add the political climate into the context too.
Indeed.
What do you mean?
In terms of at that time, there's a lot of things going on, you know what I'm saying? A lot of ideas is being manifested about how we can achieve freedom, justice, and equality. But some of these ideas is being manifested out of ignorance, some of them is being manifested out of emotion, some of them is being manifested out of frustration, and you could easily be led in the wrong direction, you know what I'm saying, if you just going by the complexion of the person's skin, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Whereas another person, you may, and that happened for some years where now
poverty pimps, right? Poverty pimps, no doubt.
Right? You don't want to pay attention to education maybe as much as you should because the teacher is white. You understand what I'm saying? Instead of absorbing that education and then making the best out of it like you're supposed to. That political climate of what was going on at that point in time in history in the 60s. You know what I'm saying?
That's
because
peace, yeah. I can see that.
A lot of people, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if y'all ever heard that, but you had individuals that referred to Allah as Uncle Tom.
Indeed.
He wasn't, ready to, but, you got to realize, in fact, that God was speaking on that, Allah is rolling with children, some of these children haven't even had sex yet. You understand what I mean? For him to be sending them into something that they might lose their life.
Right. Be a father figure, baby.
You understand what I'm saying? Like you had individuals who, their parents met Allah. You understand what I'm saying? So, how I'm supposed to explain that after you gave him permission to be around me, that I sent him on a mission, and he didn't come back.
Yeah. Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Indeed.
No, that's definitely understandable. And then I had said poverty pimps because a lot of when the funding started coming in after the Civil Rights Act, a lot of funds were given to different people in the black communities, and the poverty pimps were the people that were getting these funds from the federal government and not using them to help the community but help themselves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they use that as a justification where we need that funding again now. They always go back to that time period and say that, people are going to use the money not for what it's supposed to be used for.
Not for nothing. Because this is a little bit off topic, but it's related to what you just said, right? Something that I was doing in knowledge to that I've seen, at least in New York, how they're really kind of advertising an uptick in crime. You understand what I'm saying? And just from my own experience of seeing things that go into the media, this a lot of times is planting seeds in people's heads so that when they get ready to take an action. So like, for instance, we seen that, one of the big things that was one of the points of the protest was about defunding the police, you know what I'm saying, and a lot of criminal justice reform. You understand what I'm saying?
Where I'm at, yeah.
But it's like, once they start putting all these stories out there, that, crime is on the uptick, what kind of impact do you think that might have? Because, there's certain things.
Hey God, I'll be back. I gotta go. I'll be back.
Yeah, there's certain things that, you can kind of do. For instance, let's say if you Trump and you come in and you say, look, I'm gonna be tough on crime, the people who is your base is kind of going to support that because that's what they already about. But now for Biden, you need kind of a premise. You need a prerequisite in order to come in and say, well, look, this is why I'm going to do this, so this is why I'm going to do that. So that's just something, for everybody to be aware of. You know what I'm saying? That a lot of things I see, like kind of the pretext. I see a lot of pretext being set up right now. You know what I'm saying? Like the spike in the illness. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Right before the vaccination drops.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So now this is more of a pretext where it's like, well, if you just put it out and everything was it was like it was during the summer where it seemed like we might be over it, then you're gonna have less incentive and less authority to kind of impose it. You know what I'm saying? But so I think we could move now, and then at the end we'll get back into some current events, right? But now for the other term where we was where I was asking, is this a misnomer or not, right? Divine evil.
Oh yeah, nah.
Divine, is divine evil a misnomer?
So I already put my C in the chat when I said divine means supreme good, and evil. I mean it's evil. So yes, it's a misnomer, and they're like opposite. So those two together, it doesn't make sense to me at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say divine evil is probably the clearest as a misnomer. You know what I'm saying? That's probably the clearest as a misnomer. You know what I'm saying? But it just goes to show you, how the language can be used in a way, right, that in some cases, it actually can obscure the truth.
Indeed.
You know what I'm saying?
So you were saying they was using that before you got knowledge?
Well, when I got the knowledge, that was like a common, slang terminology, which we didn't consider a slang at the time, but it was, it was common to hear people say that, divine evil. But a lot of that came from, just being in different situations where, you didn't want everybody to know what it was you was talking about. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. So give me an example of how you guys would use it, because, like, I understand, God, you now, and stuff like that, but divine evil.
Yeah. Well, let's say if we in school, right, and you may not want to refer to the teacher, as a devil.
Oh, okay.
In front of the teacher or whatever, you understand what I'm saying? Or, we might be in a situation, and a lot of times when you're using this slang terminology, you know what I'm saying? Peace. These is instances where we out in the street. You understand what I'm saying?
Indeed.
So, we may be speaking on, all right, who's the enemy? That brother over there? Nah, the divine evil that's behind it. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, you have, and that's where a lot of these slangs come from. They come from brothers being in the penitentiary where you in a really tight situation where, you need to communicate certain things. And then if you don't, if you just coming into the knowledge, and so you don't realize that, like I said, when anything that you're dealing with, right? If you're just spelling words, right? If your whole usage of Supreme Alphabet is just spelling words using the Supreme Alphabet, then you could have just did pig Latin.
Yeah. I never heard divine evil, but I heard Y equality self.
Yeah, Y equality self was another one. Y equal knowledge born. There was, there was
super long instead of just saying yes.
Right, it's it. You know what I'm saying? But it just goes to show you. But see, that's also, as children, right? We was coming into the knowledge, and that was just an aspect of what you looked up to with the older guys, is that they were eloquent speakers.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And so just the desire to want to speak eloquently and say something that impressed everybody. You see what I mean? Because we in our knowledge as, so we don't really know, see, you gotta go from your wisdom adding the cipher all the way to wisdom born for you to understand that.
Indeed. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So once we got a little bit older, we started realizing that, all right, yeah, we just we diminishing the language, we diminishing what is the actual meaning. You see what I'm saying? I started seeing it a lot myself when Supreme Alphabet and Supreme Mathematics started showing up in rap music from individuals who wasn't 5%. You know what I'm saying? So you would hear people say, the 49311, right? And they have no knowledge whatsoever about what they're talking about, but they know what that slang means. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or you might hear people say,
that's weird.
Yo, my whiz, or just people just rhyming.
Method Man said that.
Rhyming, and they call it a cipher, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or you know, today's mathematics is about money. You understand what I'm saying?
They said that?
Yeah, that's what you know, couple different records.
That was way before me then.
So when I started seeing things like that, that's when I realized, like, all right, you know, at the end of the day, they're getting that from us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's no, you know, mystery about, you know, how they're learning this stuff. And so you know, that was pretty much that's what led me to see that, you know, you gotta watch how you're using this language.
Yeah. And one that is still popular is equality for weed. That's something that's like, I see that everywhere.
Yeah, I mean that's not one that it didn't get very huge. I didn't, you know, hear a lot of outsiders using it. But you know, yeah, all of these things, and like I said, get back to the original point of why we went through all of this, right? Is for you to be aware. You see what I'm saying? Because what happens is, you know, for a certain part of the day, whenever it is, like for instance, if you go to rest, you know, if you go to rest at night, right? How much of that are you aware of? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you still, everything is still happening. Your heart is still beating. Your lungs are still breathing. You understand what I'm saying? But you are conscious of what's going on. There's certain things that happen when we wide awake that we still unconscious of what's going on. You know, sometimes we just following a pattern. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ever going someplace and you like, yo, I on my way, right? I'm gonna stop by this place over here, whatever it is. I'm gonna stop by over here and get some alkaline water. But then by the time you realize it, you're in front of your house. You didn't even go that way.
Yeah.
Because you just subconsciously followed that pattern. You wasn't really conscious of what you was doing. You see what I'm saying? And so how many things during the day we doing that when we saying that we got knowledge of self and everything that's occurring around us, right? And then how much can we be taken advantage of by individuals that know, all right, he's going to follow a certain pattern.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That all I got to do is say this or do that or whatever the case. Once I give him the stimulus, he's going to follow that same pattern. You know what I'm saying? And then what happens when you start to deal with people, right? Who, when they said, okay, they were made deaf, dumb, and blind by the devil when they were babies, right? So now I gave you the pattern that you activating off of. You understand what I'm saying? And all you need is that stimulus for you to go into whatever is the activity that was already, you know, predetermined by the programming that I gave you.
Indeed, hearing that, it makes me think of, you know, the school to prison pipeline as a great example of that. You know, they look at the test scores of, you know, certain individuals and then predict how many cells or prisons to build just based on that.
Mm-hmm.
So those are two systems working together to, you know, create a certain outcome.
Yeah. So, you know, just in general, you know, because you know, I'm seeing a lot of things play out, you know, out there in the atmosphere where it's like, all right, is this going according to a script? You know what I'm saying? Is this going according to a script? Like, why is this happening to, you know, a vast number of people, you know, different locations, different backgrounds, whatever it might be?
Indeed.
You understand what I'm saying? And that's what happens. See, a lot of times it's like, you know, See, we can use this knowledge as a shield.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that you dealing with a dirty religion, but you using it as a shield, right? Because you have certain knowledge, right? And you get involved, like I said, you have conversations with other people that, you know, they had the knowledge the same amount of time as you or longer.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? And now this becomes a kind of shield that what you're doing is actually teaching.
By trying to share knowledge with each other.
Yeah, but you're not really sharing no knowledge. Y'all just having conversations. Like we speak on, okay, yeah, this event right here occurred. Yeah, well, you know, God, that's this degree right here. Yeah, true indeed, God. You know, that coincides with this degree over here. And it's, no, God, you're not teaching.
Indeed.
You understand what I'm saying? And so there's other things too that we deal with where, you know, that what I call it is self-righteous. You know what I'm saying? You got righteous that everybody in the world can see that that's right. And then you got self-righteous where because it's you, right? You feel like it's righteous.
Mm.
You understand what I mean? No matter what it is that you do or what decisions that you make, you feel that it's righteous. You know what I'm saying? Or even when we deal with the science of studying the 120 lessons, right? And you got people that say, well, you know, I don't need to study the lesson because I am the lesson. I live the lessons out. Yeah, but are you actually conscious, right, of what part in the lessons you living out? Because the lessons tell you who's the original man, then it tell you who's the colored man.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? So, it tells you who made the Holy Quran or Bible, and it tells you what is a real devil.
Indeed.
You see what I'm saying? But a lot of times we're not looking at the actual thing, what's happening, like what's being the actual outcome, what's the understanding, right, of the knowledge and wisdom that you manifested. See, a lot of times when we don't look at that of what is the product of what we're doing, right? It seems right. You know, that's something that children do. You understand what I'm saying? Just like the young brothers right now, they get involved with a way of life, right? And then they're not really thinking about the consequences. They're not looking at the consequences of what it brought about for the people that they following, right?
Yep.
They're not looking at the consequences that it's bringing about for them themselves, and they're not thinking about the consequences that it's bringing about for the people that depend on them or the people that love them. You see what I'm saying? So now you become self-righteous, where you're the only one who really thinks that. And all of that is a level of not being conscious, not truly having knowledge of self. You understand what I mean? You can have knowledge of the 120 degrees. You can know the knowledge degree in the 1 to 10 forwards and backwards. But like I said before, how you know you're talking about you? Like just because it say that right there, right? And you just taking one thing out, okay, Asiatic black man, you know, you're not even gonna look at the Asiatic part. You just look at black man, okay, this is me. Nah, it's not talking about you.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? We all have to actually have the knowledge of self, right? And then actually have to manifest that. We actually have to put that into the stages of wisdom. You know, like the Bible was saying, just in terms of even when we say that we God, right? Or like I said, anything that you say you are. It's like, yeah, that's a title that you holding, right? But when we dealing with supreme mathematics, yeah, you got knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Okay, you got knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. You know the degrees. You can quote the degrees, right? And you understand what it's saying. But how exactly are you living it out? See, after that understanding still comes culture. So, you know, at the end of the day, if we not really manifesting, you know, the truth as a part of our way of life, you know what I'm saying? Not even just talking about the lessons, You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, look, how many kids, right? They get sent to school. They smart kids. But it's what they choose to apply themselves to when they get to school. You know what I'm saying? How they live out the day. Like when you come there, right? How do you live that out? Do you go to class or do you spend the whole day in the cafeteria? You know what I'm saying? You know, do you go to the front of the school, you know what I'm saying, until you meet the right friends and then you leave? See, all of these is actually the things where it's like, okay, yeah, we got the knowledge of self, but then how is that being manifested?
Indeed.
For each one of us as individuals. Because see, you can't just depend on the nation and say we the gods. Because even in order for us to comprise a righteous nation, right? Like I was saying the other day, in order for us to get to be a group of men, a society of men, women, and children, right? Each one of us has to be one having knowledge, wisdom, understanding, culture, refinement, and it's not a savage pursuit of happiness. What that means? That means that you got to constantly be dealing with what they call introspection and examining self. You know what I'm saying? Or like a brother was saying, I can't recall who it was, about how when there's certain things that you see that's in your atmosphere that need to be eliminated, right? You got to find that thing in yourself. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's just like, you know, with dietary law. You know what I'm saying? When I first got the knowledge, I just stopped eating the stuff that was on the list. You understand what I'm saying? I didn't know, because at the time I didn't understand ingredients really. And when they first said don't eat pork, I'm thinking about pig meat.
Yeah, not the byproducts.
Right. I'm not thinking, you know, Twinkies is pig. It was stuff that like, wait a minute, toothpaste got pig in it? I couldn't eat things. I wasn't thinking about that yet. You understand what I'm saying? But then over time, there's more and more things that I cut out. It's not necessarily pig, you understand what I'm saying? But it's the swine of whatever that world is. You understand what I'm saying? And so I cut that out as my knowledge continued to grow, and I continued to examine everything that I was doing. You know what I'm saying? Rather it's what I'm putting in my brain, what I'm putting in my mouth. You understand what I'm saying? You know, even certain TV shows or something that you might look at. You know, all these is things that you digesting. And look, the people around you, especially once you got babies, whether they people that you teaching or whether they your biological children, the things that you consuming, they consuming it with you. Just like if you bring pig in the house and you make the pig, right? Your baby consuming that with you. You know what I'm saying? If you looking at Jerry Springer, right, and they never see you pick up a book or anything like that, they're consuming that with you. And so these are the things that we got to constantly be examining self, constantly be paying attention to the things that we saying, because a lot of times, right, these things that we saying, we writing a script for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? There's things that people say that, you know, you think you plant the seed out there, but you plant a seed in yourself too. You understand what I'm saying? Just like a person who, you know, you ever knew a person, right, who in their mind, right, they had 100% self-confidence that they was good at a thing. But in reality, they wasn't good.
Yeah, like singers.
Yeah, well, I'm saying, you know, you got people like that all the time.
Indeed. And that makes me think of in the knowledge degree it says, the cream of the planet Earth. And cream is the choicest part. It's the part that rises up. So, supreme math alphabet, 120 forwards and backwards. But like you were saying, the culture, that's the cream that rises to the top. And not everybody can do that.
Yeah. That's, and you hit someone on the head right there. See, that's when the real hard part starts. So that's why I said to people who say, yo, 120 knowledge, 120 wisdom, 120 understand. Nah, son. The hard part starts at culture.
Yeah.
That's where the hard part starts at. See, we can all stand in the cipher, right? Look, especially when you stand in the cipher, you 14, 15 years old, right? A lot of these things, you haven't really gotten to that point yet. You haven't really gotten to the point of making and owning yet. You understand what I'm saying? That's when you're really going to see. You thinking that the questions that brothers is asking you, but in reality, you're going to be running into, you're going to be running into trials when it comes to living these things out. You know what I'm saying? In terms of maintaining the principles that you say you have. You know what I'm saying? So what happens when you traveling someplace, right? And you someplace where it's like, yo, over here, the people don't know about righteous food. Or listen, I've been places where the people are proud of their pig recipes.
Was that Texas?
Why you got no Texas? But look, yeah, I've been in towns in Texas where every restaurant that you go to, there's a picture of a pig.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? On the restaurant. So now it really comes, you can tell me all the knowledge and understanding about pig and why it's bad for you and all of this stuff. But now when it actually comes time for you to live it out, did you really fast 3 days or did you bullshit us? Or really you bullshit yourself?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because now you come into a situation where, okay, now you got to live it out. You understand what I'm saying? All these different things, all right, this is a Hotep channel. You know what I'm saying?
Don't let it be Applewood bacon, because people will fall for that.
You said apple with bacon?
Yeah.
That's a thing?
You never heard of that?
Nah.
What? Yeah, it's a big thing. Applewood bacon.
Apples with bacon?
No, applewood bacon. It's like they smoke the bacon in applewood. Like
applewood. Yeah, no, I never heard that before. I thought you were saying apple with bacon. I was like, I don't even sound like what.
Nah, applewood bacon. Yeah. But go ahead.
Right. Yeah, the way how they prepare it or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Or you go certain places where the barbecue, you know what I'm saying? They with the barbecue, they making, all these different pigs and things of that nature. You understand what I mean? But these are the actual things that we saying like, okay, do you really have the discipline to live it out? And do you see now? Look, also when you get to living it out, right? Do you have the freedom to live it out? You understand what I'm saying? That's when you really get to the difficult part where you got to show and prove your power. You understand what I'm saying? Just saying that you have the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. But now every time when you go from knowledge to born, right? And then your knowledge out of cipher, you got to examine that to make sure that, okay, once it went to born, it connected back to the original idea. Because if it didn't connect back to the original idea, right? Now you're dealing with something that's probably not born alive.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Every time you go around, 360 degrees, right? you got to examine that, right? That's what we call renewing history.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Every time we went through that cipher, now if we renewing the history, we're gonna see the what? Growth and development. You know what I'm saying? If we not really examining, then we're gonna see the same mistakes being made again and again and again and again. And that's why you have to become conscious, you know, especially coming out of the 85% world, right? Where, you know, you spend 13, 14, 15 years doing some of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? That you come into the knowledge, you know, like how many people come into the knowledge, right? And they see word is bond, and the first thing they think of is swear to God. This how you say swear to God. This how the 5% say swear to God. You see what I'm saying? Because you haven't really examined your own self, right? And what you bringing to the knowledge. You see what I'm saying? A lot of us, we come in with all types of baggage. You know what I'm saying? And then what you'll find yourself trying to do, right, is justify that. You'll find yourself trying to justify that with the lessons.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying?
So then would you say that's where somebody can, you know, make that original idea weak and wicked?
Yeah, you grafting it. Because you taking the weakest part of the idea and you running with that. You understand what I mean? You know, just that to say, you know, yeah, if there's some relationship there that is peace. There's some relationship there that if you said something, right, and your word is bond, it's supposed to be true.
Mm. And
You
that's
know what I'm saying? Yeah, but you took the weakest part of what that degree means and developed that instead of really understanding that no, it meant that, you know, you turned your ideas into reality. You understand what I mean? The word was made flesh. You know, it doesn't mean just, you know, what I said after the fact about what happened was true. It means when I manifested the idea, then I went and lived it out.
Mm. Cream rising to the top.
Yeah. So that's what happens. Look, even in relation to what we was talking about earlier of how we define God. See, a lot of us just bring our Christian definition into the knowledge. You see what I'm saying? And then you start to be attracted to sciences, right? That purport to teach you how to use your mystery God powers. You understand what I'm saying? So if you eat this kind of food, then lightning bolts will shoot out your finger. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know,
Dry water.
yeah, if you study this other science that's, you know, kind of extracurricular to our teachings, you know, then you will be able to levitate off the ground, you know, and part the Red Sea. Because you just brought that same definition from, you know, your mystery God teaching into this. And all of these is things that you got to always be dealing with introspection with, right? To see how deep the layers go, man. You know what I mean? How deep the layers go. Like you got to think, you know, for most of us, you know, your religious instruction began in the womb. Whether your parents is going to church, your mom is going to church, you hearing these terminologies, you know, things that she's reading, ideas that she's having. What you said here, Mr. Spot? I asked Poppy in the store the other day for the turkey sausage. He said he picked it up. I said, you sure that's turkey? and he gets mad because he knows I don't eat pork, and he does. He looks at me crazy. I wanted to cuss him out. I mean, you know what? Well, when you that's in New York, because in New York, I ain't gonna. It's starting to be difficult. It's starting to get difficult to find pig. You know, not that I'm looking for it, but you know, when you go in your average store right now in Harlem, you're not going to see pig like that.
So as far as going back to one of the title, you know, Muslim other than righteous, would you say dealing with some of, you know, the Muslims that sell pork and alcohol to certain communities, how do you see that? Even though they don't consume it, you know, how do you see them selling it to others?
Well, you know, one of our basic kind of principles, you know what I'm saying, is that I want for my brother what I want for myself. You know what I'm saying? So you know, it's clearly a 10% move. You know what I'm saying? Where you know, you're using individuals' ignorance in order to make yourself rich. But I mean, you mean in terms of are they righteous Muslims or not?
Indeed.
Well, no, I would say it's a ram, you know, because like I said, let's take the actual the identity out. You know what I'm saying? In terms of whether you're talking about a Muslim, whether you're talking about a Christian, whatever. You know what I mean? You got a certain set of principles, right, that you're supposed to be upholding. You understand what I'm saying? You know, like Christians is supposed to take care of the poor and the weak. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, once you strain away from that principle, you know, then you know, without question, I would say, you know, you're not a righteous individual, you know, from that school of thought.
Indeed. My laptop's about to die, so I'm gonna catch y'all later. Peace.
All right, no doubt. Peace. What's this you said? I have time. Every time I tell a story about my family trying to trick me into eating pig, yeah, they should try to trick me into eating a whole bunch of stuff because see, I'm a picky eater in general. Now, even as an 85, it was certain pig I ain't eating it. You know, certain beef, you know, certain things I'm not eating that. You know what I'm saying? So they always had pounds out of me. They used to try to give me liver and tell me it was steak. You know, but you know, that was one of the you know, it ended up being a test that I went through. You know what I'm saying? The test that I went through with my family prepared me the things that tests that I end up having to go through out in the atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? You know, another thing they did was, you know, we had like, I would say that was about maybe a month where every single day they made pig. Like just something was pig. Like even if it was chicken, you know, there's extra bacon in the vegetables, in the string beans, you know, ham hocks, whatever it was, to the point where, you know, they was coming from the mentality that look, you know, if you get hungry enough, you will eat it. And so I had to you know, pass that test right there. have time. Right. Now look, you're right about that too. When I went down south, the people, yeah, they thought that I thought, I was too good to eat their food. And that's like a big thing down there, the Southern hospitality. But I had to do it. Don Bishop came in. Yeah, Don Bishop, this is one you got to check the rebroadcast. All right, so Mr. Spock said this was in Manhattan. In the city, they still sell pork, especially. I mean, well, that's what it is too. It depends, this type of store you go in and who's the kind of people that they cater to. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, that's another reason why I would say that, if you got a Muslim in the store, because, you see that also in the regentrification, how, the way they keep the stores, how clean they keep the stores, the type of products they carry and everything depends upon who has moved into the neighborhood. Halftime said, if there were an award for eating pig, my family would win. My teenage years were very lonely. At home, my sister ruined my food once on Christmas, pouring shrimp in it. My family ain't touched my food since. She felt guilty, not about fucking up my food, but for ruining Christmas. I mean, I'm keeping it 100 with you. I don't think your family. I don't think they in the neighborhood with my family when it comes to eating pig. Like I got one of those families, which I don't know if maybe that's how it is normally, but at the time, like when people like my great aunt, my great grandmother, my grandmother, when these type of people was around, if they was making chitlins, people came, it seemed like people came from out of state just to get these chitlins. And for the first time I smelled chitlins, I was like, nah. I was like, yo, what is that? What are you talking about? Like, yo, man, something stinks in here, man. They're like, what you just, like, yo, you don't smell that? And then I think they went in the pot to do something or something, and then when the smell came, like, whoa, that right there. They was like, what are you talking about, man? That smell good, man. That's chitlins. Yeah, all right. Whatever that is, keep that off my plate. Yeah, cow tongue. It said it was corned beef hash. Yeah, see, this is, you gotta watch these people. But all of that is a part of, this is what I'm saying. All of this is a part of, some things is about you understanding your consciousness. About you understanding, and before you even get to understanding, you just knowing what it is that you're doing. See, because that's one of the favorite answers of the person who fucks up. Or I didn't know what I was doing. Or I didn't know what this thing. I didn't know what this thing is that I messed up here. I didn't know. You see, once you say you God, right? How much of an excuse can you use? How much can you use that for an excuse? Southern Illinois. Yeah, I don't know. Do I have relatives who bleached it? I don't know how they make it. That, like I said, as a even when I was in that world, I never dealt with that. Yeah, that's what I said. Smell good. It's like, to me it does. It chitlin smells like shit. I didn't understand how people could like it. And then when they told me what it was like, yeah, I mean, it only makes sense that it smells like that, but they didn't smell it. John Ireland. Yeah, I was on Queensbridge. Was I on 41st? Yeah, I was on 41st. Was that Vernon? And somewhere, 10th Vernon, somewhere over there. I was over there the other day. Chief said my peeps ain't deal with pig in my lifetime. I knew when my GM was about to die because she told me she had a taste for bacon. In my opinion, that was her cold talk to me to let me know. But what she did, she wanted to just, I guess, enjoy what she wanted to enjoy that taste one last time or something. But you said put a steak on a cut. What's that? Mr. Spike says, still remember my uncle born giving me deer meat burgers seasoned up and telling me the benefits of deer meat opposed to red meat. Deer meat is not red meat. I ate deer like 1 or 2 times. Yeah, I heard them, dabbing and bleach, all this different type of stuff. I mean, it's very innovative. Steak on the cut. Nah, I don't remember that from the cartoons. Now, remember, I stopped watching cartoons in like, hardcore. Like, I'd still watch the Transformers and that kind of stuff. But I want to say by like 82, 83, I stopped watching cartoons. Maybe even 81. Deers eat green. I mean, they all eat green too. But that's another good example. How many things that we eat, in the 85% world, all right, understanding coming at us on Facebook, peace to the God. How many things that we eat that we was unaware of, what it was and what did it do to us? Beavis and Butthead. Oh yeah, that's way after my time. Watching cartoons. What's Reveal said, I recall I was down south at a family function in Virginia, and while everyone was mingling, I was fixing my plate, thought I had chicken legs until they told me it was frog legs. That was another thing they never got me to eat. And that was always how many people, you know, and the people I was around, no matter what it was that they was making, they will always tell you that it's okay. It tastes just like chicken. And my point of view was always, well, if it tastes just like chicken, why don't we just have chicken then? why don't we why don't we just have chicken if it tastes just like chicken? Yeah, that's another whole issue right there that Don Bishop brought up. He said, remember I told you my wisdom used to try to see if my word was my bond when I said lips that touch swine would never touch mine. Back then she would eat pork then try to kiss me. I dubbed her. You know, that's it. That's another and that's what I'm saying, that as time goes on and you evaluating what's right for you. You know what I'm saying? At first you may not even think about that. When you still dealing with who is this? Knowledge, love, fly phrase from the Providence plantations. But you know, these are things you may not even think about. But that's what I'm saying. Just and you always gonna see people like that. And everything you deal with, you're gonna see people that's left on day one. You're gonna see people that haven't developed really since day one. You're gonna see people who, they had the knowledge 30, 40 years, they know the 1 to 10. Or they know the supreme mathematics and alphabet. That's because they never really taken the time to get knowledge of self. You got knowledge of the original man, knowledge of the black man, but you don't have the actual knowledge of yourself and how you fit into this. There's a lot of things you can have knowledge of. Like you can have knowledge of a basketball team. That doesn't mean that you're playing. It doesn't mean that they sending you no check. And so we know that language is one of those things we have to watch. See, because in this is going back into another lesson, man, where we already dealt with, is that we took from them everything except their language. And so we see that they use language to this day in order to indoctrinate, in order to control. They use language, whether it's legalese or whether it's just euphemistically speaking, right? By the same token, there's a way we're supposed to use language too. And there's a way that if we don't use it correctly, we're using it against ourselves. Like I was saying, the wives, you have certain people, they come to the basketball court, they got on all the paraphernalia. You got on a LA Lakers, you got on the LA Lakers sweatsuit, you know what I mean? You take it off, you got LeBron's jersey on, you know what I'm saying? You got the LeBron sneakers on. You got all the paraphernalia. Can't really play no ball though. See, that's a person, they planted that seed in their head, right? To the point where they really that's what they think. And so it's the same thing with this knowledge. Yeah, we come together and we have all these good conversations, and you're convinced in your mind that you're the true and living God, like all the rest of us. That you're the true and living earth, like all the rest of them. But that seed was only planted in your head by the things which you tell yourself. Like, they call it in the what they call it, affirmations. Like, even you ever see the science of how they teach people to overcome fears, like phobias and stuff? It comes down to how you talk to yourself in your mind. It comes down to if you tell yourself you can handle this obstacle, or if you continue to look at the negative side and only speak about the aspects of this obstacle that make you apprehensive. So now you increase your fear, right? Instead of talking about your ability to overcome this obstacle, which increases your confidence. The whole way you use language, like when we say, listen, man, to try is to fail. No, it's not for you to get all caught up in the definite, but it's about the words that you're using, right? Because the words, just like your actions, right, is a way that you're making your idea manifest. And people around you also respond to this language in the way that you use. So right now, would it sound funny to y'all if I came out and said, so, as soon as I was coming here to, if I came on the live and said, we in here now on demon time. See, just that language alone, you're gonna say, all right, wait, what this brother right here got on his mind, man? What's going on today? So language is one place that we have to, begin to examine. You know what I'm saying? And then of course we got to go into everything else. We got to go into what it is that we paying attention to. What kind of entertainment, are we being a part of? And even if you being a part of it, are you aware of what it is for what it is? Can you put it in the right perspective? Because there's different things, you may go around this person over here, right? And it might be something that, they can handle. But that's the knowledge of them. It could be it could be a medicine. It could be, listen, you when somebody gets sick, y'all go to the hospital, right? This person might be able to handle penicillin. But you might be allergic to it. And so that's why knowledge itself cannot just come off of the paper. It can't just come off of the paper. See, that's why I said that, we use the terminology, right? And check it out. This is what I'm saying about language. We use the terminology, right? That we give people the knowledge of self. But in reality, we bring it out of them. See, just by changing that little perspective on how you speak it, it gives a person a different perspective, right, of what they got to do to be one of us. I can't give you the science of God. I can't make you God. I can show you some things and show you some tools and how to use some tools that bring it out of you. So yeah, you can study what I'm saying, right? You can look at what I'm doing and learn about those tools that you need. But in order to truly make something with those tools, right, you got to understand you as an individual. First of all, you got to understand what it is you are already. Like before you go working on something with your tools, first you got to know, okay, is this a sink or a toilet? If I give you the plumber's tools to go in there and fix the bathroom, you got to know what you're working with. What is it that you brought to this knowledge? Who was you already? Like, was you a thief already when you came in? You got other people that maybe their background was different. Smoke Dower. Smoke Dower with the Mercedes-Benz peace sign. John Bishop said the words we use project and convey a specific message, manifest an idea based on the level of understanding that the person receiving it has. And you got to realize that the first person who's receiving it is you. Right. You know what? That's what we were speaking on today, John Bishop. You know what I'm saying? About how a word like bad, right, has come, at times, right, through slang, came to mean, bad meant good. Or when we deal with different sciences of etymology, right, we see that, the word terrible and the word terrific have the same root. Just like the word awful and the word awesome has the same root. But the way we use it and the way it manifests, right? The way we manifest it, it means just the opposite. And that's what happens sometimes with our actions. We have this concept that, we God, we deal with supreme mathematics, but see the way that's manifested, when you go out there, now it's the opposite. The people don't see that. And that's why they don't bear witness to your teachers when you try to tell them that they God, because what you manifested through your actions, because you wasn't paying really attention to what you was doing. You wasn't looking at the outcome of what you was doing. You know what I'm saying? How many things we did, we was thinking about ourselves and the benefit we get from it, but we wasn't really looking at how it was affecting your family, how it was affecting your future, how it was affecting the community, how it was affecting the world. That's what happens when we think knowledge is limited, when we stop doing the knowledge. And just like with everything else, you know what I'm saying? With this right here, you first started off with who is the original man, and then you went all around the 196,940,000 square miles of the planet. You broke that down into land and water. You went into Pluto was 3,680,000,000. But see, it all had to start from you. And this is why we went through this topic today. Pay attention to your language, just as a start. Pay attention to the words that you use to manifest things. See, because this is what leads people to misunderstandings out there that you're trying to build with and you're trying to teach. This is, the people that you have to come in tune with, right? Like I said, true life tests. When the people call you up from the school, right? And they say, yeah, we having an issue with your son over here. He doesn't want to do Pledge of Allegiance. All right, how do you express this, right? to the people that, look, we from a particular culture, this, right? Without creating the atmosphere for your child in the education system that's not beneficial. It depends on the words that you're using. And as you continue to pay attention to this, right, your level elevates, right? Because what you're able to express, the truths that you're able to make known, right, that elevates.
Call from wireless caller.
Oh, yeah.
Call from caller.
Oh, let's test this out.
Call from wireless.
Peace. Peace. What? I didn't hear what you said. Nah, all of them left. It's Darkim. Oh, what's going on? Yeah, everything is smooth. Just wrapping up the class right now. All right. Peace. Yeah, right there. You know what I'm saying? But we had a very good class today. I really like this one. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully everybody did the each one teach one. Hit the like button. It looks like we had most of the people in here. We didn't get Mr. 120. Mr. 120 didn't come in. But we got any last questions before we wrap this up? Right. Atif brings up another word that if you're not, careful of how you're using it, the word incredible means without credence, which is not a good thing, but people say that was an incredible meal. Smoked hour, yeah, hit the rewind. You're going to like this one. You're going to like this one. Of course, tomorrow we're going to be back at 7 o'clock, so you can tune in on time. Also, I don't know if it's going to be this week or next week, but we're going to get Tragedy Gaddafi is going to come in. You know what I'm saying? He got some things he want to build on. And, we get his perspective on some things. Right. Don Bishop said, I was building with knowledge born, and he was telling me, take out the word hate and stupid from your vocabulary. It causes division and closed-mindedness. Exactly. And also the you have to stretch your mind now. You got to stretch your mind. Like, that's one of the reasons why when you hear people talk, nigga this, nigga that, is because they really don't have another word. You got to stretch your mind to come up with other words, right, that you're going to call a brother. But if you notice, the people who don't have any other words, they say nigga like 5 times in a sentence. Like, nigga, I was over here with the niggas over there, and the nigga gonna say this, nigga. Because they really don't have other words, man. They really don't have, and some people don't have other actions. They don't have other things that they do. You know what I'm saying? Like if you you go into a neighborhood and you see the kids there and they might be doing something that's detrimental to their life and freedom. They don't have other things that they know how to do. They would have to stretch their horizons to see that, okay, you know what? Yeah, I could be a businessman without selling this right here. You know what I'm saying? All of that causes you to deal with growth. You know what I'm saying? No doubt, life, peace to the God too. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, man, everybody that made it this far with me, do the each one teach one, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. When we get off of this, everybody continue to share this on your Twitter and your Facebooks, in the groups, in the Instagram, in the text messages, whatever it might be, because we definitely got the word out today. Like I said, we missed a few people, but we had a very good live. Who you talking about, Smell Goods? The law will manifest. What's the deal? We'll see you in a minute. Live phrase from the Providence Plantations. What's number 53? I wrote down some names. I ain't no names. But yeah, though, that's another thing too. I keep blaming everybody else, but I actually I got some more business to deal with. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be hanging out with some new antediluvian king signs after the class sessions. Yeah, I need to get some after the class sessions back in. I actually seen the Lord Supreme the other day, but yeah, I'm gonna get some more. I'm gonna get some more people in here, some interesting people who have unique points of view. Right, Kendall Rowland. Yeah, I mean, you can slip into the use of that word, because there's so much around us. That's a part of you constantly being aware, right? That we in a greater society that can easily overwhelm your culture. The mainstream culture can easily overwhelm your culture, and certain slang is out there. But did you really take the time and see that, okay, yeah, I'm saying this, but is this not like against my principles here? And then you end up being what? A savage. Mr. Spock said, I don't have any social media. Am I bugged out for that? Nah. That's something, if you don't have a reason to do it, right? We're not just following the crowd here. You know what I'm saying? That's having knowledge of self. That's knowing that, okay, this is not for me. Like if I need to speak to somebody, I'll call them on the phone. Right. Now look, Don Bishop is saying that, he's associated the word with the Niger River, or what is the Neges? Is that a tribe? But this is what I'm saying. Being aware of it, actually examining it. See, when we don't take things on face value, right, and you examine it, sometimes you see that it's exactly what you thought it was on face value. Think you might have went to the store and you like, yo, on face value from over here, that looked like some chicken. And then when you got up on it and examined it, that kid is chicken. Then you got it home, you cooked it, you smelled it. Yeah, that was chicken. Just because we don't take things on face value, that don't mean we think everything is wrong. But we examine it so that we dealing with knowledge and wisdom and not religion, ritual, et cetera, et cetera. Kendall Rowley. Doing it, I like doing it too. Doing it, that's doing is up there. I still think knowledge and wisdom. I still think knowledge and wisdom is for me. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I wouldn't have done any of it if I didn't. Right, 790. That's actually, I think, one of the first things that got me on Facebook too, is a whole bunch of people from high school or something had some kind of group, and as they was looking for people, I kept getting contacted by people saying, "Yo, it's all these people on the internet looking for you, like looking for me." Who knows, man? But yeah, social media, that's something that it's got a birth record. You know what I'm saying? So, there's gonna come another day when people is not dealing with it, and people will probably look back, how many ever years from now, the same way we look back at practices that individuals might have did at a time when they had less knowledge and understanding, and we like, wow, why did they get caught up in that? You know what I'm saying? Social media will absolutely be one of those things. That's my prediction. My little conspiracy theory for the day. Right, Halftime says social media tends to make people less social. Absolutely. Because part of social is the fabric, of how people come together. You know what I'm saying? And social media has made people very hostile towards one another. But at any rate, like I said, I got some stuff I got to handle tomorrow before we get down to business with the class. You know what I'm saying? Everybody remember to do the each one, teach one. And I will see y'all tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Peace.